Welcome to Storytime at the Rubus, a weekly podcast where we discuss Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival, among other things. I'm Brooklin.
I'm Daniel.
And I'm Sharla.
No, wait a minute, Brooklyn. We were doing a couple of different takes of the intro. You were doing some funny voices. Can you give me one of your funny voices?
It's Storytime at the Rubus.
What is that one?
Storytime! It's the bad hamster guy from Lilo and Stitch.
Oh,
show.
wait. We're going to have a quick side discussion at the very beginning of this. How do you feel about a live-action version of Lilo and Stitch?
I was very pissed off when they talked about it, because I was like, don't ruin what's good, but I saw a picture of CGI Stitch, and I just want to cuddle him.
Oh, he does look very similar to the cartoon. But we're not here to talk about that this week. We are here to talk about Rue, of course. We've had a wild couple of weeks. I feel like it's been almost a month since the lineup has come out. How are you feeling about the lineup now that it's really settled in?
I'm
Jazzed. You found any new artists that you really love? Maybe we can save that for the end.
I actually haven't looked further than Thursday yet.
Really?
I'm kind of holding off, like, keep it month by month.
You're day by day?
No, like, the days, like, next month, like, February, I'll look at Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're really strategizing this.
So I'm, like, deep diving into, like, Dice Spits right now and, like, the bands that I really like.
Yeah, you've been liking them, haven't you?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
I like that
they're similar to Mannequin Pussy, but a little more harder.
Mm-hmm. I like that we have a lot harder stuff this year. More punk, some more heavier stuff.
Oh my God, Hot Mulligan.
Hot Mulligan. I know you're very excited for that. Charlotte, how about you? Have you got any bands that have been standing out to you?
The Stews.
I heard them too. I like them also.
Yes, I didn't know about them until the lineup came out, and I've been on them a lot lately. I found them on one of the many Bonnaroo playlists that you can find on Spotify, and they're really good. I like them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Stews.
Yeah.
I have a question about them.
Mm-hmm.
Are they related to the Soups? Sorry, I'm delirious.
Oh, shout out to Skylar for winning the soup competition, by the way.
Hell yeah, Skylar Soup Queen!
The Soup Queen,
The Soup Queen of New Jersey.
Next time she's on, we'll get her to explain that whole thing, but apparently there was a soup competition and she won. That's literally all I know, but that's amazing.
First place, yeah.
First place,
oh, yeah.
On a real note, what genre is the Stews?
They're kind of like grungy rock from what I remember, right?
Like a punk pop.
Yeah.
I'll
punk
be into
pop.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and a Skylar soup was Cajun potato.
Cajun potato.
Cajun Potato is the name of my new Creole band. We play every Thursday in the French Quarter. No, I made that up. Okay, enough silliness. We're here this week to get through our annual FAQ episode. So, exactly, thank you. Those of you that are on the Reddit have probably seen that sticky for the past week. And we asked everybody to do a little something different this year. So there already have been a number of posts where people have a ton of questions. Thank you, Sharla, for that, by the way. Woo. Thank you for all your dedicated work on the Reddit. I think you have been helping a ton of people. And thank you to everyone who has been answering those questions to help newbies out. You know, shout out TOTEM. That's kind of what we're all about. But we wanted to go in a slightly different direction this year. And we encouraged people to ask kind of like more cultural questions, I suppose. More fun things that don't generally get talked about in these FAQs, right?
Questions that you can't find on Google.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think Sharla would encourage you as one of the Reddit mods to, check the Bonnaroo website and Google these things. There's a lot of great information and resources that you can find. I know we're going to talk about that in a moment, Brooklyn. I would shout out Bonnaroo Chris's packing list. That's something that many of us have been referring to for years. Shout out to Chris. He's one of the OGs that was one of the first to do a lot online to help out other Roovians. And if you Google that, Bonnaroo Chris's packing list, you're going to find this one pager that is tremendous if this is your first camping festival. So definitely check that out if you have not already. But like I said, these questions are going to be a little bit different. It's going to be some more fun stuff. There was about 40 questions, and we're going to try to get through
have mercy.
Just about all of them here in the next hour. So are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
You ready, Charlotte?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Well, I'm asking Charlotte because this first one that had the top number of votes was actually from you, but some other people were talking about this. Can you talk about the Bonnaroo pool? Charlotte, what the heck is going on with this pool thing?
Okay, so the word is they are replacing one of the tents with an Olympic-sized pool. And it's not going to have any lifeguards, so it's a swim at your own risk situation. And in the off-season, it's going to be used for Olympic training.
Oh, really?
What about the lazy river?
Oh, the lazy river. They asked us about that years ago in one of those survey things, and clearly that's coming at some point. No, guys, we're joking about every bit of this.
No, I'm not joking. You can say that you're joking, but apparently one of the tents is getting replaced with an Olympic-sized pool.
Well,
She lives by this.
it did say that Remy Wolf was having the pool party, so I mean the precedent is there. It has been established.
There you go.
Be for real.
I am for real.
I like that this pterodactyl person on Reddit was saying that, like, I think having a pool is a bad idea. Some people can't swim and will want to get in it anyways.
Oh,
Like,
Lord.
no, guys. Okay, I'm just going to leave it there. All right, let's get to the real questions. So one of the top ones was from Easy Juices. This will be my first Rue. I'm really curious about some of the deeper lore. Why are the stages called what they're called? The whole what, which, that, and other thing is wild. They also asked, where does the radiate positivity thing come from? And what are some more deep lore tidbits that a casual observer wouldn't know? This is a good one. This is the kind of thing that I was asking that everybody, bring into this. So let's start with the whole which, that, the
I
other.
think it's just to confuse drunk people.
I mean, it really is. So...
You're at what stage?
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm at which? Wait, which one? Yeah, I'm at which?
Which? It is one of the best traditions at Bonnaroo. Like, things are just very silly, and purposefully so. I think a lot of it has been kind of cleaned up to some extent in recent years, but I'm so happy that the stages and tents haven't been named for some sponsor. They still have the silly names. There is just so much craziness and silliness that is embedded in Rue, and that's just part of it, right?
Yep.
Like, we love that it's a little confusing. It's been that way for 20 plus years. I think there have been some other names for some of the stages, but it's been like 15 plus years that the main ones have had these names, right, Sharla?
So those have always been the names of those. The area where the what stage is, that whole area actually was called the arena.
You're right.
For the very, very first year. And then the next year it was called the what stage.
The arena. That was like the very first year in 2002, I want to say.
Correct, yes.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there was a tent at one time for like 2 years, I think. 1 or 2 years. That was called another tent.
I legitimately didn't know about that.
Yes.
Charlotte did her
I
homework.
think it was a very small tent that was just like a little who stage or something like that. But it was called another tent.
Yeah, but to answer the question, it's just silly for silly's sake. All right, now, so the other one, where does the radiate positivity thing come from? So that's part of the code, and if you Google the Bonnaroo code, you'll find some pages where it's discussed. And that actually came from Rick Farman and his team way back in the day. That was some of the Superfly guys that was based out of New Orleans that were some of the co-founders of Rue. And he actually told us the story about that on the podcast almost 2 years ago now. They went to Burning Man, and Burning Man has the 10 principles. And they loved the idea, and they wanted to simplify it and bring it back to Rue. And radiate positivity was one of the pieces of the code. They just kept it as a general rule for everybody just to obviously be positive. And that's part of the code. Google the code. We're going to talk about that in another episode in the future.
It's to keep the general vibe, the good vibes flowing,
Good vibes, man.
Because if you're radiating negativity,
you don't need to be there.
That's not good vibes,
yeah,
bro.
Don't be that guy or that girl. It's not good vibes. And what was the last question? What are some of the more deep lore tidbits that a casual observer wouldn't know? You got one, Brooke?
My personal favorite is when you're in a crowd, you're stuck in a crowd, and then the collective ensemble of, oh, baby, you got what I need. And I see every single year when that branches out, it gets dimmer and dimmer every year because there's so many newbies that don't know it, and they're just like, ew, that's weird. Why are they singing that? I don't like that. It and sing along. Like, it'll make you feel so much better, and it'll make the whole crowd go by quicker.
I think there probably is an origin story for that, but I legitimately don't know it. I don't know how it started. I don't think anybody does.
It bloomed, and it became something beautiful.
Yeah, and that is very specific to Rue. Like, you don't really hear people sing along to that song at any other festival of any type, really.
There was actually a couple of people going back and forth the other day on Reddit if it was specific to Rue or not.
I mean,
I don't think it
I
is.
have seen it in other places. I personally have seen it in other places.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it could have been like OG Ruvians at those other places?
It's possible it could
Where
have been
I've seen
a fish
it, there
thing.
was not Ruvians.
Okay.
So, talking about deep lore a little bit before we move on, a lot of the lore of Rue comes from these old school fish festivals where it was just a festival for fish. That was it. Because a lot of the crew and a lot of the template for Rue back in the day came from the fish festivals. So, it's possible things like that came from the big fish shows, but I really don't know. We would have to talk to a real OG to kind of get to the bottom of that.
But also talking about deep lore tidbits that if you're just going for the first time that you may not be aware of, just yelling out Happy Roo.
Yep.
Or yelling out Bonnaroo.
Bonnaroo!
Yeah, yelling that out.
Give high fives on Friday.
Just try it.
Or
Yeah.
high fives anytime, really.
High Five Friday, yeah, that's not really a deep cut thing, but that's a
But
big
if you
tradition.
don't know, if you're coming for your first time, you're not going to know stuff like that.
Right.
In the next couple of months, let's do a whole episode on traditions. We'll bring in a couple of other people to go through all the traditions that we want to keep alive.
Yes.
You guys want to do that?
Sure.
All right, let's do that. All right, next big question was from Elevated Tortoise. I like that name. I'm curious about the changes of Rue over time. This will be my third year, but I'm curious about, and here's 3 things. First, everyone's favorite change about Rue since their first one. That's a good question. Let's just go through that one first.
That is good.
My favorite change is all of the stuff that they're doing in the campgrounds at the plazas.
Yeah.
When Sharla and I first started going, there was nothing really to do that was officially organized out there. Now there's a ton. It's like Disney World out there because you can't possibly see it all. That's probably my favorite change, honestly. How about you guys?
I would absolutely agree with you, Daniel. When we first started going in 2013, I can't remember back that far, but I can't think of much that was out there. Like you went out there and camped
Nothing,
and
really.
you went into Centeroo.
Wow.
But also the permanent bathrooms
Oh,
Yes.
that's a game changer.
and just
yeah.
the flushable porta potties. Oh my goodness. And the sulfur water, just the plumbing overall.
Now that's a good one because back in the day, some of the mushroom fountains, if you filled up your bottle, it smelled and tasted weird. But they have totally fixed that, so that's a great change. I don't know if I would say it's my favorite, but it's definitely one that's appreciated. How about you, Brooke? You've been going since 17.
17.
So what's your favorite change over time?
Where in the Woods?
That's a perfect one. Yeah.
Where in the Woods? My first year, I want to say into 18. 17 and 18, we didn't have Where in the Woods, and then Where in the Woods became a thing in 19.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Maybe?
that goes
I think
back to
that
the
sounds
same
right.
thing we were saying. The
Yep.
changes in Outeroo.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where in the Woods is so cool. If you get a chance to stop by there, it's outside of the venue. It's quite a walk from like group or RV or on the other side of the farm, but it's so worth it.
Mm-hmm. All right, second question from Elevated Tortoise. Everyone's least favorite change that they wish they could reverse since their first Rue.
I think that Bonnaroo has gotten away from being, it's called the Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. And I think that we have gotten away from the arts perspective
Yes.
of that, especially by taking away the cinema tent and the comedy tent. Bring some of that back. Bring back the bobbleheads that we used to have back in the day.
Yes.
Those fell
Bring
apart.
back, well,
Some new things like that.
some new-
yeah.
well, and they have really by bringing back those sculptures in the Grove and little things like that.
Yeah.
So bring back some. I want to see more art at Bonnaroo, and I think they have made strides by, like I said, bringing back those sculptures in the Grove and things like that. But the comedy tent and the cinema tent, I mean, those were such fun things that we had, and just bring back little aspects of that. But they have brought House of Yes to us and stuff like that. So little things like that.
How about you, Brooke?
I'm gonna say bring back the Christmas barn.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah. I would like to see that back.
Get rid of that stupid holy matrimony, whatever it is. I just would, like I said in previous episodes, I never got
Right.
the chance to go into it. I always wanted to, but I never got the chance to go in Snake and Jake's Christmas barn.
I mean, just in my opinion only, Charlotte's opinion only, the House of Matrimony, it's only going to serve a certain set of people.
Yeah.
It's not going to serve all of, all Ruvians. Whereas
Right.
Snake and Jake's, it's going to serve all Ruvians.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, you said everything there is to say about that. That would be one of my least favorite changes for sure, that they took away Snake and Jake's. And there's really no reason for it not to be there. I really can't think of a logical reason. That kind of connects to like what I would say is I think that we've lost touch with the roots of Rue in a lot of ways. A lot of it was rooted in kind of New Orleans culture. There were parades. There was Snake and Jake's because that's a little bar in New Orleans. I think with Superfly being gone, we have lost that connection, and it's kind of sad. Rue still has its own voice and character, but I think a lot of it should be based in that kind of New Orleans kind of vibe, and I just don't see that there anymore.
You know, it wasn't always Snake and Jake's. It was something else before that.
Well, I know, but for the majority of the time,
I'm just saying.
and a lot of our memories, that's what it should be.
But then also, we would love to see Calliope.
Yeah, you will not hear a person who
Walter
doesn't say
Productions,
that should be
yeah.
back. Walter
But that's
Productions.
we could go on.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the last one here. One thing you wish you could change about Rue to make it even better. You want to go first on this one? Go for it.
Yes. Bring in Frick Frack's Blackjack.
Oh, explain that one for people that don't know it.
All I'm saying is I'm trying to see butt plug tug of war at Bonnaroo. Just kidding, I'm not. But Frick Frack's Blackjack is a wonderful group of people who travel to different festivals. It's like a blackjack thing. You don't use money. You barter with like the most random items that you can find. Like when we go to Okeechobee, we always go in and into a thrift shop or a antique shop and find the most random piece of item, clothing, whatever that we can find, and then we go and we barter. Like, and they have like a whole wall of random shit, and you just say, "Hey, I want that," and they'll either agree with you or they won't. And if they agree with you, then you play blackjack with them. It's super fun, and they have all kinds of other stuff going on. Like they have like trivia and bingo and all kinds of stuff. They're just really, really fun, and I think that they would fit in at Bonnaroo so well.
Full send. Totally agree. How about you, Sharla?
There needs to be something done about the sustainability aspect in the campgrounds.
Ooh.
People leave so much stuff when they exit, when they leave on Sunday night, Monday morning. There is so much ridiculousness just left to rot away. And, people, they do come, there are volunteers that come by and clean it up and take it to, I think, the gear closet in Chattanooga, and they have a sale and whatever and yada yada. But people just leave so much. They leave furniture, just all kinds of stuff that people just leave. And it's just ridiculous. And Bonnaroo needs to take more of a Burning Man aspect, where it's what you bring in, you take it out. Like, I wish that they would just take more of a stance on that.
I agree.
But other than that, I can't think of one single thing. Like, I love it. It's my home.
One thing that I'll say real quickly, first of all, you guys covered some really good ones there. I'm not even going to try to top those. But one thing I would change is I wish the sponsorships could make more sense. I'm not going to call out any particular sponsors because I'm not going to give them any more free advertising. But every once in a while, there's a sponsor inside Cinderoo that makes no sense whatsoever. And it takes Roovians out of the whole experience when you see a company that is just blatantly advertising that has nothing to do with our audience. I think there needs to be more done to ensure that sponsors are a fit and are actively doing something for the community as opposed to just turning us into like their product. That's all I'll say about that. I'm not going to make a big anti-establishment stand tonight. All right, so let's go to the next one. This one is from Hitman Champus. I hope I'm saying that right. First time going this year. I'd like to ask, what are some experiences that a first-timer shouldn't miss? That's a very good one. Who wants to volunteer to take that one first?
Brooklyn.
The biggest one that I can think of is don't be afraid to meet and greet your neighbors. You will make some of the best friends that you will ever have by doing that. Another one is definitely don't be afraid to go into that mushroom water fountain, especially if you're hot in Cinderoo. You're limited access on shade. Definitely try the big ass water slide, and that's gonna wrap it up for me.
Yeah, I'll follow up on what Brooklyn's saying because that's kind of what I was going to say too. So it's easy to go to a show. You're going to go to plenty of them. Mm-hmm. But all of the other experiences are what makes Roo. So like making new best friends, doing all these other crazy things like the Ferris wheel. We had a good comment from Funky Fishman. That's a great one. I would totally recommend going on the Ferris wheel at night during a rager EDM show with the other. It's such a cool experience. Find all of these other peripheral experiences. Just get lost in the campground and just go make some new friends. You'll probably see something crazy at somebody's campsite. Just stop by and talk with them. Hang out for like 10 minutes. That's going to turn into a choose your own adventure kind of thing. So that's what I recommend. Don't keep yourself on a strict schedule. Save some time to just get lost and see where the wind takes you. That's the best thing at Roo, man.
Absolutely. I'm going to agree with y'all. Don't be on such a tight schedule. Don't be, I have to get to this show. I have to get to that show. It's really about meeting people and exploring the community and making new lifelong best friends. I mean, that's what Bonnaroo is. I've seen so many people say, oh, well, I went to Bonnaroo and it just wasn't for me and I just didn't have a good time. Well, did you talk to anybody?
Yeah.
Did you try to make friends? No. And you got to talk to people. You got to make friends. I mean, that's really what it's all about.
I want to talk to like the really younger demographic. Like you're probably under 22 maybe. There was something that happened to many of us socially during the pandemic where we were trained to only have social activity within our bubbles, like say 5 or 6 people that was in your household or that you talked with, during COVID, where you didn't really get out and do a lot. I think a lot of that has retained within the younger generation. And I'm not judging, it's just something I've observed. Get outside of your bubble. Make friends outside of that bubble, especially at Roo. I think that's going to do you a heck of a lot of good. All right, next one from SAJ08C. More details on the King Giz residency, please. That one's on me.
That's all you.
Well, there's still a lot we don't know yet, but we do know it's going to be 3 different sets on 3 different stages.
3 different nights.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Further than that, we just don't know. And it'll probably be a couple of months before we know. But I will tell you a lot of what we are kind of suspecting. We think one of them may be more of like a rave set with their synth stuff. And we're thinking one of them is going to be on a bigger stage, probably which. Other than that, I'm afraid to say, because we just don't know. So you'll learn when we do. All right, next one. HVVJVK. I'm assuming that's an acronym for something. I would love to know more about the security situation. This is a good question. This will be my first Roo, especially when it comes to searching RVs and the cops that roam the campground. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, we're definitely picking it up. Charlotte's going to kick us off on this one.
Okay, so as far as searching RVs, when you come into the campground, when you're actually pulling in through the toll booths, it's going to be just like searching cars. So by that, you could get a quick look in, peek around, or you could get pulled out of the line and have your RV completely torn apart. So in other words, it's going to be completely random, just like cars are. The one thing you do want to remember to look out for in your RV is your kitchenware, your kitchen stuff. So a lot of times if you might rent an RV, it may have glassware in there and it may have knives in there just in the kitchen. So take those out before you come to Bonnaroo, because if you don't, they're going to make you throw all that stuff away. So make sure to take that out. As far as cops roaming the campground, that could vary. It honestly could go either way.
My advice is don't be obvious about it.
Right.
If you keep subtle about it and just don't do anything stupid in front of everybody, you don't have that much to worry about.
My personal advice is don't bring sand to the beach. There's always going to be sand at the beach.
And look, you asked if we're picking up what you're putting down. We are. We don't really go into details on this particular podcast because we like to keep it safe and family friendly. But we know what you're talking about. We're not going to pretend that it doesn't happen at Roo. Just be cool about it. Like, don't be an idiot. Be safe. And don't make it obvious to anybody that's roaming the campgrounds. And odds are you're going to be just fine. Don't worry about it. All right, let's go to the next one. This is a good one. This is from Funky Fishman. He gave us a good answer on one of these questions a moment ago. Last year was my first Roo, and I'm 50 years old, so did a lot of Reddit searches preparing. I figured out what boof it means. Yeah, speaking of what we were just talking about. I figured out high fives, F Kanye, and oh baby, you got what I need. Hey,
Yep.
he knows, which came out when I was in college. Please explain the inside joke from Rue veterans about the bees being on the left side of the stage.
We can't.
We
It's
can't.
NDA.
Yeah, so this is a long-standing Rue tradition. You probably heard the joke. We're not going to talk about it because it's on a need-to-know basis.
Yep.
That's part of the inside joke. Once you know, you know.
So stay away from the left side of the
There's bees. Man. And listen, I actually did get something fly up in my face 2 years ago.
Yep.
JB, who has been on the show, can attest. He gave me some candy to commemorate the situation. He's very good at that. He always has like some candy ready to go for any contingency. He's crazy. He's like a Boy Scout out there with
He
like
really is a
candy.
Boy Scout.
Yeah. So we won't talk about it because it's one of those unwritten rule things, but ask around, you'll figure it out eventually. It's not a huge secret. All right, next one is from Gridiron Science. That's funny because we got a football game on in the background right now. Is the Infinity Stage reserved for EDM shows, or will all kind of acts be on there? Is it smaller than the tents?
So the Infinity Stage is going to be larger than the tents, and it's going to be DJs and bands playing on there. So we are going to get a separate lineup for the Infinity Stage. Now, new news, as of this weekend, we did see on Festiverse from Brad Parker, who is the festival producer, that they had just had a new meeting or something. Don't quote me on this. But they had just had a new meeting about the Infinity Stage lineup. So we hopefully should be getting some new details coming out from Bonnaroo about the Infinity Stage pretty soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
But they had just had a new meeting on that. Previously, we were told that there's only going to be a couple of new artists that they were bringing in that aren't on the current lineup to play the Infinity Stage.
I have mentioned this before, but I will caution everyone to keep your expectations in check for this new stage for the first year. Consider this to be a beta year. I personally don't expect them to really take advantage of it until year 2.
Right.
I think there'll be some trial and error this year, and that's okay.
Right, and it's already been said that during the day, particularly, that it's going to be a lot of chill, meditation, trippy stuff in there. And like I said, that they were only going to have a couple of additional artists on there. I see a lot of stuff, and I've mentioned this in a previous podcast, but I mentioned it. We see a lot on Reddit, like, oh, are we going to get this XYZ giant name added on there? Are they going to play the Infinity Stage?
Probably not.
Please don't get your hopes up in that manner. I don't think we're going to get anyone massive added to the lineup at this point. I mean, we never know, but I wouldn't get your hopes up like that.
It's a little unlikely. But you should still go check it out. It is going to be very cool.
Absolutely. It's going to be super, super, super
I'm
cool.
very excited about it.
Me and you both.
All right, guys, let's take a quick break, and we're going to call out our Patreons. If you're listening to this for the first time, we do have a Patreon thing. No pressure whatsoever. 100% of everything that we collect for it goes to our TOTEM Foundation. That stands for the Opportunity to Experience Music. We will have scholarships for a couple of new Ruvians this year, and we're implementing year 2 of our mentorship program. We got a ton of signups this past week because Bonnaroo shouted us out in one of their social things. The Festive Owl did a while back too, so we've gotten very good applications. Some of our scholarship applications this year have been tremendous. Our board is going to have a fun time going through all of those.
We got a couple of really, really excellent scholarship applications, and I'm so excited to go through those.
Yeah.
But you can find out more about the TOTEM Foundation at TOTEM, TOTEM, FND.org. Again, that's TOTEMFND.org.
Yeah. And we have some details for you about our New York meetup here in just a moment. But let's get through our Patreons first. Who wants to read? You want to read them, Brooke?
I'll
go. Charlotte's read them?
All right.
Go for it. We got a new one, not a new friend. This is a good old friend.
Okay.
But she is new this week.
Delaney, Molly.
By the way, Delaney and Andrea will be hosting for us next week.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, sorry.
John with the Texas Rue Crew. Daniel, Brady, I Am Rave Dad, Taylor, Courtney, Casey with the Texas Rue Crew, Christy, Charmel, Jums, Sarah, David and Aurora.
Jones was a pirate.
String Bean, Taylor, Zach and Jeremy, Amber, Andrea, JB, Sam, Austin, James, Chelsea, aka Hygiene Queen, Ryan, Chris and Shy, Dan, Harris, Keith, Casey, Andrew, Amanda, Nick, Maddie, McFerg, Kent, Randy, Bosco, Eric and Ben, Evan, Jay, Chloe, and Sean.
Thank you, everyone. That is at patreon.com/Rubus. And those of you in the New York, New Jersey, wherever area, we will be having our meetup again here in just a few weeks on Saturday, February 15th.
February the 15th.
I think we may have said the wrong day in a past episode, so shout out to Evan for correcting us on that, because Evan has been putting a lot of this together. It will be at Lapa Lapa in the East Village. And what time are we looking at again, Sharla? I think 3 p.m. Is that right? We'll get back with you on that. We'll have some graphics go up on the totem thing. We don't have our notes in front of us. But yes, we do know it's that Saturday.
3 p.m.
Lapa Lapa in the East Village in NYC. If you're in the area, please come out and come see us. That is an excellent place, by the way. We had the same event there last year. And I hear there will be afters after we get through all of our fun stuff.
Yes, it's going to be a fun after party.
Evan has some fun places since that's his neck of the woods. I saw some pictures of this like very 70s looking place. Brooklyn, it reminded me of that place that me and you have joked around about for years in Los Angeles. Good times at Davy Wayne's. I promised you something would happen at that place. Maybe it'll happen at this place. I don't know.
We going to go skiing?
No, I didn't say that.
We going skiing, Daniel?
No, well, it is cold outside. No. But anyways, guys, again, Saturday, February 15th, Lapa Lapa in the East Village at NYC. Look at the Totem social media things for more details coming up this week. If you're in the area, come out and see us. There's no reason not to. We'd love to see you and have a Rue meetup out in the city. So looking forward to that. All right, you guys want to get back to the questions?
Hell yeah, brother.
All right, let's go to Symbol Boy 420. That's a good name. He's got a ton here, so we might have to get through this kind of quickly. Music. How small are the Where in the Woods acts going to be this year? He goes through some other things, but let's just answer that question. I think it's going to be smaller than it has been in the past because they ran into some capacity issues last year, right, guys? Remember what happened with Alice in Wonderland on Saturday night? Mm-hmm. I don't think they want to run into those issues again. It can get a little packed and tight in there, and I think they're trying to avoid that.
Turn people away from it.
Yeah.
Right. It's been said that they're going smaller this year for Where in the Woods.
All right. Other question. Camping. Does anyone really know how GA parking is done on Tuesday? That's a good question.
So, yes, the earlier you show up, the earlier you show up, the closer you're going to get to the arch.
If you're doing GA
If you're doing GA, just regular GA primitive camping.
Yeah, if you're doing RV or coming to group with us, that obviously won't be the case. But as has been the case in recent years, if you get there pretty early, you'll be pretty close. Like, everybody always wonders how people like the church boners or whatever get right up next to the arch. That's how. They show up first thing.
All right, so bonus question.
Bonus question. Where is your personal favorite spot you've ever gotten while camping at Rue? They were at House of Yes last year. That can be an awesome thing, and that could be an annoying thing because they go all night over there. You may never get to sleep. That's a trick question for us because like we're kind of always in the same area in group. Now, Brooklyn, you kind of share custody because you also go to Camp Canada down the road.
Yeah.
Was it pretty close? That's like a short walk to the arch.
Yeah, we're like really close. We're like last year we were put like right there in front of the arch, and no, not the arch entrance.
Pretty close.
But the disco
Ferris wheel.
The disco tower
Yeah.
entrance. We're like a couple rows back in RV, and I will say there was a fuck ton of RV last year.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting it to only grow.
I think you're right. I think I saw on the map that it is growing a little bit this year. That has become a very popular option. I mean, it works well for Roovians because you get that kind of like nice glamping situation, but it works well for Rue because they can sell it at a premium.
Especially when you have a huge group together, so you can all like go in on the payment for the RV. Yeah,
that's very true. That's very true. All right, so next one, Ladybird 1230. Who actually is bringing the dogs and animals onto the farm? Is it the musicians and their entourage?
What?
I can't say I've ever seen any animals. Like, there might be some service animals.
Yes, I've seen, like, search dogs, like drug dogs, but... yeah, I don't think
maybe that's what she's talking about.
I haven't ever seen any other animals other than the the demon squirrel.
Yeah. Wait, can you talk about the demon squirrel? What the heck? Demon squirrel?
No, we'll save that for another time.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, yeah, I will speak on this. If you see a dog that's clearly not supposed to be there, that's suffering, get somebody.
Tell somebody, yeah.
Please tell security.
Animals should not be there.
And if you can't find security, go tell guest services.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it at that. All right, next one is from the Melonhead. I really would love a physical look inside the plazas. I have only ever seen Plaza 2 and 3. Sure. I mean, it's just a big barn. I'm not sure how to go into detail about that. Also, how do the church people get inside the campgrounds? Like the ones with posters. Did they buy tickets or something? Why can't we remove them? All right.
Ooh,
First of all, Sharla wants to speak to this, but I do want to speak to this real quick. There's a couple of different church groups. So there are the people who are saying nonsensical things over there on Bushy Branch and protesting just to protest. But also there is the Jesus tent. They are wonderful. Mm-hmm. They are not really there to push their agenda or anything. They're just there to be good neighbors and hand out snacks and have you come charge your phone. They're good people. I don't think anybody can say anything negative about them. But the protesters, yeah, that's just a nuisance. Now, Charles, I'm sorry. You had something.
I was just going to say, as far as those people that have the posters out there and the ones that are yelling on the megaphone or microphone or whatever, I honestly do not have the answer to that. I don't know. That has been
weird.
Highly, highly debated. I know there was a lot of debate about that last year, whether or not they actually buy tickets because they're actually on the road out there. They're on New Bushy Branch Road. So I honestly don't know. The
best advice we can give you is completely ignore them. Don't even glance at them. Just completely act as if they aren't there because they're trying to get a reaction out of you.
Right. That's the best thing you can do.
I think they have to be buying tickets because I saw them right outside of the arch entrance last year.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
They were walking in between the arch entrance and the disco entrance. Yeah.
Same thing. Ignore them. Just don't even pay them.
You saw them with megaphones and stuff?
Yes.
That's
weird. Did you tell someone?
No, I mean, we just ignored. I was fucked up.
Okay, because if I ever see anybody like that with megaphones and stuff, I'm going to guest services, like immediately.
Yeah, I don't think they would take very lightly to any Rubens being harassed. This is why I think
they should bring back the Mounties.
I do miss the horsies.
Now, the Mounties are, I think a lot of people say bring back the Mounties, blah, blah, blah. The Mounties are there to control the fire lanes, etc.
Yeah.
Like, they're not security.
I mean, they've helped me many of times.
They were always happy to help.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, they're there for general order. All right, next one. Crew jackets. It's another one of these. Is Sharla licensed in Tennessee to build the Super Jam pool? How big will it be and how many filters will it have? Sharla, can you speak to this?
Okay, so about this pool. So I never said I was building it. There is a crew that is building this pool. And it's going to be, like I said, an Olympic-sized pool.
I'm just letting her go with this.
Now, there's a crew that's going to be building it. And like I said, it's going to replace one of the tents. And it's going to be a 100-meter pool complete with a dyed well, 3-meter and 1-meter boards. And we have someone on here, Disciple of Routine. They already said that
Brooklyn's
they're going to perform their club diver routine. 1.5 full twist in pike form, front double somersault, front 1.5, and lastly a reverse somersault. So
you'll never impress the Russian judge with that one.
We're prepared.
All right, moving on. Miss Malfoy 89 has a ton of questions, and it would probably take a whole episode to get through all these, but I'm going to pick a couple of them. First one is pretty cool. If you could create an official Bonnaroo time capsule, what would you put in it? Well, I think that's a good one because a lot of people make these shadow boxes full of like their wristbands and little keepsakes that people give them. I would put one of those Rufuses that came in the cereal box from years ago in there. There's little trinkets that mean a lot to people personally. What would y'all put in a time capsule?
My soul.
It might already be in one.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Charlie, you got any ideas for a time capsule?
Oh my goodness, I have a time capsule that's sitting in my yard.
Wait, really? Oh, a big butt. I thought you meant you had buried something in the yard outside.
Sharla has murdered.
Usually himself. A time capsule like you bury, like Nickelodeon. I know
what a time capsule is. I know what a time capsule is, baby.
Oh my gosh.
Oh Oh gosh, I'd have to think about that.
All right.
I'm going to answer that at the end.
Miss Malfoy had a ton of questions. I'm just going to pick one more before we move on. Are there any stories about artists who fell in love with Rue and returned in disguise just to enjoy it like a regular fan? There was a great story about this, and you can find it in a music video because Mumford & Sons did this one year. So they played back in 2015, and they filmed a whole music video in disguise. Like, I think Marcus Mumford was dressed as Robin Hood or something like that, and the rest of the guys had on crazy costumes, and nobody really knew it was them. I kind of vaguely remember seeing them. Everybody was just like, what? That's weird. But it turns out it was them.
You'll see artists walking around all the time. That's like especially artists that play on Thursday and want to stay for the weekend. You'll see them walking around all the time. But artists that play on the weekend, they'll come in early sometimes, and you'll just see them walking around. I remember Jason Isbell. He played Sunday night, I think it was, and he was like, I've been here all week.
Yeah, he was just hanging around.
They also asked, what are some of the most iconic unplanned moments in Rue history that became permanent parts of the lore?
Oh, man.
I don't know if it's not an iconic moment, but the Beastie Boys played their final show at Bonnaroo.
That definitely ranks up there.
Obviously, they didn't plan for that to be their final show, but it was.
Yeah. I think that is archived somewhere. You can watch that entire show. Back during the pandemic where we had a virtual Rue on YouTube streamed live, that was one of the big highlights. Yeah, I mean, it's sad, but it is kind of cool and historic that we had that.
This person has some great questions. What is the most bizarre or mysterious lost and found item that's ever been recovered at Rue, and did anyone claim it? I can answer this.
Yeah.
On the Bonnaroo Lost and Found that they put online, someone turned in a dildo.
Oh, I see those on there all the time.
Yep. Someone turned it in.
They have an online Lost and Found, and you will see dozens of things like that.
No, I've only ever saw one dildo
really?
on there.
I could have sworn I saw more.
But yes, someone turned it in. And they posted it. Whoever's doing the Lost and Found posted it. What's the story behind the first ever Rue wedding? Well,
I'm sure there was some before.
Yeah, no one can answer that because I'm sure during the very first Bonnaroo, somebody was like, okay, you want to get married? Okay, we're married. The end. Like, that's, But, Daniel, you want to talk about Brittany's wedding?
Yeah. Oh, gosh. This is a long story, but I'll try to give the summary of it. So, a good friend of mine that I went to school at the University of Alabama in Huntsville with was our friend Brittany. And if it wasn't for her, I probably would have not gone to Bonnaroo in the first place, because for a year or two, she would go and then tell me about it and try to talk me into going. And then, obviously, eventually, I finally went. So anyway, Brittany went pretty much every year. She met a great guy, and they were going to get married and wanted to do it at Rue. We were just kind of BSing, and I said, hey, you should get married on the Rue bus. And she did. It was a beautiful wedding. They were a perfect match. They had a kid together. Unfortunately, we lost her about a year or so afterwards. And it is sad, but I've told a lot of people this story. If she could only know the butterfly effect that she had by just getting me to go, man, like, it eventually turned into a nonprofit and a group camp of 100 or so people. And if you ever come inside the bus, you can see some photos of her wedding and her sitting on the hood of the bus. And, man, I'm not going to pretend to know how the afterlife works, but I promise you, man, she is just thrilled to death that so many things have happened. And I wish I could have had a conversation with her about it.
How do secret sets come together, and where is the best place to find out about secret sets? Join every single Bonnaroo social media that you can find, but particularly the unofficial social medias. So you're going to join the Rubus Discord. You're going to join the Reddit. Just all kinds of things like that. That's where you're going to find out about secret sets. And it's going to get started in there, and it's just going to work its way around the internet.
If you're plugged in, you'll hear about it.
Yeah, if you're plugged in to all the Rue social medias, people are going to start talking. Join Loopholes to Reality. Join stuff like that. And it's just, people are going to start talking in places like that, and it'll just make its way around.
All right. So, yeah, there was a ton from Miss Malfoy. Thank you for that. We're going to move on to some of the other ones. We're getting towards the end. So, Don Jeffy, 27, says, first Rue, but camping festival veteran. Happy to have you here. Driving an RV from the West Coast with my wife and teenagers. Oh boy, you're about to have a blast. Strapped for time on the way out, but not afterwards. Are there any fun activities to do or cool places to see in the area or neighboring states the week following Bonnaroo? Thanks. Love the show. Thank you, Don. All right, Don, you're about to have a blast. Me and Sharla have driven out kind of your way twice to go to Burning Man, and I will be honest, the road trip is almost just as much fun to me. So I'm glad that you're going to have a little time on the way back. You're about to have a blast. Now, let's talk specific things. I think one of the biggest suggestions that you're going to get might be a little tough for you since you're in an RV, but stop in Nashville. Go to Jack White's place at Third Man Records, just a little outside of downtown. It's very cool. Jack has a lot of his toys. It's like going to Willy Wonka's house. You'll find some cool stuff that you probably want to pick up and buy, but there's some cool things to see inside there as well. You guys got any suggestions for Don and his family?
I mean, it really depends on what you like to do. He mentioned in another comment that he would like waterfalls and hiking and stuff like that. Chattanooga has a ton of stuff like that. Oh,
yeah, man, yeah.
You would love Chattanooga if you're into stuff like that. And Chattanooga is such a beautiful city.
Yeah. I would look up some of the Tennessee state parks. If you got a lot of time on the way back, it would be really cool to find some places on the route back out west where you can spend some time and take the kids to those kind of places. We're very lucky that a lot of those parks in Tennessee are just gorgeous. It's going to be hard to find one that doesn't have like a lake or waterfall that you can stop at. In fact, there's a good one in Manchester, and the name is escaping me right now. It's just a couple of miles from the farm, really. So you can search for that. Yeah. I'm sure you'll find it. Brooklyn, you got any suggestions for Don and his family? Some places they should see when they're on... You've done a lot of road trips.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Sorry, I wasn't really paying attention.
No, you're good. What are some cool things that he could stop and take his family to in the RV on the way back out west?
On the way back out west?
Yeah. From Tennessee.
It depends on where, like, which route he's going.
Yeah.
If you're going through... Where's he live?
He said he's just coming from the West Coast. He doesn't say where exactly.
Okay.
Brooklyn was distracted. She was watching the...
Yeah, the Go Bills.
Yeah.
Bills currently just tied it up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, if you have a chance to drive through Utah, I would definitely do that. I would go up into Colorado and drive around the Rockies and then take that road that leads into Utah. And then if you have a chance, stop at Arches National Park because it's so beautiful up there. Mm-hmm. But if you're talking about closer to here, yeah, I got nothing. On the way out.
Yeah, it depends
so,
on
I mean, y'all pretty much covered every good spot.
If they were driving back out to the East Coast, I would recommend going through Gatlinburg and stuff. That might be a little tricky in an RV.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're going to find a ton of places. In fact, we're going to follow up with you on this. We're going to talk with you and some other people that are making the drive and talk about things that you could do on the road trip. So, Don, stay tuned. We'll talk about that in a future episode because we could talk a lot more about that. All right, getting towards the end. Give me 2 beers. I see them on the Reddit all the time. They have 3 questions. Number 1, where do you get off? 2, can I pet that dog? And 3, do you think the shift in much younger headliners will lead to a big shift in age demographics on the farm? Yes, you can pet that dog. But 3, that's a good question. That's Josh. That is Josh. Thanks. Can I pet that dog? Josh, I hope you had a good time at your race thing. All right. To answer the 3rd question, it's kind of a chicken and an egg thing. Yes, I do think we will see a lot younger people this year that are coming to see Olivia and some of the younger targeted acts. And that's fine. It can't just be us olds all the time. Rue does have to find a new audience, and we have to teach them the ways. I think this is good news all around. What do you guys think?
I definitely think it'll be a little younger this year. Yep. And especially with the way that they're advertising it also. And with Luke Combs as well. You have to think about that because I work at a college, and a lot of these young kids, that's all they listen to is country music.
Dude, us driving into Nashville the other day for that event, like, every time you go into Nashville, it's every Bonnaroo ad, it's a Luke Combs ad.
Mm-hmm. Well, it makes sense there.
Well, yeah.
I'd like to ask Corey this, but I think that they're targeting different towns with different types of billboards.
That's a smart tactic, to be honest.
Because I drove through Atlanta, and there was a Bonnaroo ad for Tyler. Yeah, so it makes sense. What town would make sense for them to have a King Giz ad? Like, what's the most, psych rocker town?
I don't know why, but I'm thinking it can't be Denver, because Denver's mostly EDM. It's got to be,
no, it's a little bit of everybody in Denver.
I would say...
I don't know. You would have to look it up.
I would say LA.
LA, yeah.
You'd have to look up. You'd have to do the data.
Yeah, we'd have to look it up. All right, good question, though, Josh. All right, next one is from Zelizgial Bus. Well, they're also a bus. This is our Fourth Bonnaroo. Is there anything we can do to help you guys with all the cool things you do? Donations, offer their time. Somebody gave you the link to the Totem website. We're a nonprofit, so we'll never turn down donations. But to go into more details about that, if you were coming in early, I would definitely talk to our friends Andrew and Maddie, who are putting on the Wednesday party. They could always use a hand or any equipment for the cool things that they're doing on Wednesday. I think that's one of the main things that I would point people to where we could use a hand for things. But what about you, Sharla?
Well, like Daniel said, Andrew and Maddie can always use a hand on that Wednesday party. But just spreading the word about Totem, totemfnd.org, is going to be the most helpful thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Totemfnd.org.
Yeah. Brooke, you got any feedback on that one?
I do not.
You do not. Okay,
Y'all covered it.
We covered it. Next question is from Andrew. He says, "Is this the Krusty Krab?"
No, this is Patrick.
All right, next question. Puzzle-headed cook. Can you please explain the pit line? This is a good one. I really want to be front row for Tyler. I just got GA but heard there's a pit line. I just haven't seen it anytime I've been there. Well, this is a good question because I wish that this was explained more in official Bonnaroo stuff. So Bonnaroo has a thing that European festivals had for years where anybody can get in the pit. You don't have to buy a VIP ticket to get into the tent. Or, I'm sorry, into the pit.
You're
not
doing
the
great.
tent. No, you don't. No. To get into the pit, you don't have to have anything extra. You can have a regular GA ticket. You just have to have some time and patience because if it's a bigger artist, I see you want to see Tyler from the pit, you're probably going to have to wait a good long while. So there will be kind of like a snake line next to the pit where you can wait in line. You might have to ask the security guys and other Roovians some questions. What line is for what artist? But if you get there early and talk with people, you'll figure it out. You're just going to have to wait a good while to get into it. So just be prepared for that. And hopefully, we have asked that Rue do a little bit more about this, and I've heard that they're working on that. So there might be some more information. But that's the gist of it. So good luck getting in that Tyler pit. I think you could probably do it if you want to.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Two more. Disciple of Rutang says, more of a logistics/ticketing question with parking passes. I know there's a reason for it, but I can't find it on the website. Do you happen to know why they do not allow resale on the official ticket exchange for parking passes? For example, someone can no longer attend and they want to sell their parking pass. That is a damn good question. Charles, that's something that you're kind of plugged into.
You know, that I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah, that is tricky. I tell you what we can do. We can follow up on that for you. I'm going to ask around about that because that's a good question. Because if you should be able to sell your Sinru ticket, you should be able to sell your parking ticket. I don't see why not. That is confusing, isn't it?
It's probably a logistics thing.
Yeah, it could be. But we're going to follow up and find out for you. Last one. This is a good one. This is in line with the kind of question that I wanted to get for this. This is from Festival Lady 90. I see her frequently on the Reddit. I want to hear about weird things Rue has done over the years, like Adult Swim. For everybody that's newish, Adult Swim used to be a sponsor. They had a giant meat wad thing where you could go in and see weird cartoons and things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, way back in 2013. I remember seeing it. Charlotte, what would you say is a weird thing that they've done?
Ooh, I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Some of them are more sponsor related. So like last year, they had those skydivers come in. Yeah, Brooklyn, what you got?
I got a really good one. And it's become a tradition of 2 years so far.
Yeah.
And I really hope that they bring them back. Liquid Death sponsors Bonnaroo, or had sponsored Bonnaroo the past 2 years, and they have a little, in quotation marks, haunted house that you can go in. You can get like a cute little temporary tattoo. They'll tell you you're like, they'll give you like a fortune.
Oh, that is
And it's
weird.
like a very dark fortune. Like mine told me that I was sailing on the seas and birds discovered that I had just eaten bread, so they picked apart my guts to steal the bread, and it said, consider going gluten-free in the next life. It's just fun little shit like that, and then they'll like to enter it, you have to sell your soul, which is you giving them your email, and they spam your email
That
account.
kind of creeps me out.
It's so worth it because it's just like, yeah, I just joined a cult when I didn't actually join a cult. Did I?
I'm a little creeped out by that.
But like, I love, yeah, it's weird.
I first saw that at Forecastle a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Liquid Death does really good advertising. If y'all seen it, like, I mean, let's not talk about one of their Arnold Palmer flavor is a Dead Billionaire.
What?
Because Arnold Palmer threatened to sue them if they didn't change the name of their Arnold Palmer drink. So they renamed it Dead Billionaire.
I didn't know about that.
I love them.
I thought about my favorite old weird thing. This happened in the first 2 years that I ever went, back in 13 and 14. The olds will remember that before it was a disco tower, it was a cuckoo clock tower.
Yeah.
And it was a working clock, and a cuckoo would actually come out of it. But it did weirder stuff than just that. So, like, sometimes the cuckoo bird would, like, say things. It would, like, come out of the clock and, like, have facts that somebody recorded off of Wikipedia. It would just tell you all kind of crazy science and nature facts for no reason. And, like, there was all kind of weird stuff like that back in the day. There used to be, maybe there still is, a loudspeaker system in the camps if there was ever an emergency situation and they had to tell people to evacuate or whatever. But they used to use it for weird stuff, too. So, like, around 8, 9 in the morning, something like that, you would just hear randomly, like, "Shh, good morning, campers." And then you wouldn't hear anything again. That was it.
So
it was just weird stuff for the sake of being weird. I miss that.
A lot of the newer people probably don't know that all of the camps the plazas, the pods, whatever, used to have very specific names. And I'm talking like camps within the plazas. And it would be so many different camp names. And they would all be like pop culture names
like
from
Simpsons,
different shows and different
They still
movies.
do that, don't they?
No,
like when you look
they
at the...
haven't done that in like 3 or 4 years.
Like,
I feel like it got phased out.
No, that's been phased out.
Man, my years are rolling together.
Yeah, see, that's usually what happens,
So
right?
like, I could have swore last year they had like, it was like not as, last year.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up now.
So been like, in a while.
Yeah, so the 2024 Outeroo map does not have the camp names because I remember it used to be like Camp Chewbacca, Dylan Panthers.
I will say, did they have it in 2023?
No.
I don't remember.
Are you sure?
But
Yes.
it has
Pull it
been
up.
phased. I mean, here's the... All right.
Wait.
We're searching this live. 2023 Outeroo map. Sorry if you hear this stuff. Yeah, 2020. There it was. It was the same. No, it was just like some vague
They
things.
didn't have it in 22 either.
Yeah.
What? I could have swore.
No, that hasn't been a thing for quite some years. I think 2019 was probably the last year
What
they
the
had it.
hell? Like, because we were like Camp Skywalker or some crazy shit like
Yeah,
that.
I do miss that.
No, they would have names like some of the characters in MASH.
Like Hawkeye, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
they would have Camp Randall Pink Floyd.
oh, yeah. There's Days of Confused characters.
They
Yeah.
had Friday Night Lights names.
Yes.
They had Dylan, East Dylan. Just about every show you could
I think there
possibly
were some
think
King of the Hill camps.
Yeah, there was.
Is this the festival? Like, all right, anyways. But yeah, I wish they would bring that stuff back. All right, that was the last question on Reddit. Thank you to everyone that submitted all of those. This was a good one. I'm glad that you guys got us the more like fun and cultural stuff this time around.
Yeah.
So I did say something early on. We were talking about the Mounties. I don't know if those were security or not, so I just want to take that back.
Well,
I don't
something
know.
like that.
But yes, this was a very fantastic episode. And thank you for everyone for submitting your questions.
Yeah, and
a
we
really
do
great time.
we do have some follow-ups, so I will check on a couple
Yeah, I
of
got a
those
couple
things.
of follow-ups, yeah.
Yeah. So next week, Charlotte and I will be gone. The Calliope ladies will be taking over the keys to the podcast.
Queens.
Yeah, they're absolute queens. I was happy to see them in Orlando a few weeks ago. We'll be seeing them quite a bit again this year, so obviously at Rue, but I think that we'll be seeing them at Halloween as well this October. Oh, did you tell them that you're going to Halloween?
Not yet.
Well, I'm telling everybody that you're going to Halloween.
I'm going to Halloween.
Yeah, so we will all be there. Obviously, we'll do a podcast from there, but that's a long time from now. But anyways, yes, you're in good hands next week, and I think in a couple of weeks we'll probably be doing another live episode from New York with us and the crew up there. So lots of fun stuff coming. Like I was telling some of the questioners on there, I'd like to do a couple of episodes about things. I think doing one that's road trip based for everybody doing the trip from out west would be fun to do. So let's put that on the agenda there, Sharla. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
But anyways, Charlotte and I, maybe Brooklyn, we'll see you the week after next. You're in good hands with our guest host next week. Until then, get out there and radiate positivity.
And clap cheeks.
Clap them cheeks. What? Okay.